this is the woman's vagina. Okay.
What is
this? And so
takes a lot of imagination. Okay.
A lot of men usually like to debate about size and all that. It's really not that important for gushing of water. So when you talk about making it rain, we are talking about this point up here.
Is that a clips area?
There's what the Africans call a bin. We call it a bin, Africans. That is where all the pleasure, the ultimate pleasure of a woman, that's where the water is. So if you're a man and your purpose is to make it rain for the woman, then you need to be here. So a lot of men get it wrong and they come here. They sit down here. And then they do this. They don't come up there. They don't reach there. And so they can't let the water. But if you come here and you play with the bean and you appreciate it, you will make it rain for the woman. And the woman will enjoy. So that is the woman's Kachabali.
Okay.
But for the males, if the woman wants to perform the Kachabali on the man, they would then have to deal with the man's penis.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to now demonstrate the man's penis.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
When it comes to our African culture, and I speak not only South Africa but also for East Africa, because I mean my sexual experience is a combination of East and South. Our background, sex has always been a very important part of our African culture, and from way back, many years back, with so much dignity, so much, importance attached to it, so much so that our elders used to have some practice, a traditional practice called ssenga. A ssenga is a Ugandan word, basically, or Kenyan word for someone you would call as an auntie. But the auntie would not necessarily be your relative. It could be someone in the community. And you would be taken to a ssenga who will then prepare you for the passage from being a girl to a woman. In Xhosa, which is where I'm from, my culture, we have our boys who go to the mountain, spend some time at the mountain. When they descend the mountain, they come back as men. And the things that happen there, the teachings that happen there, are all part and parcel of preparing them to be the men, and then the women to have the... So for me, and that's a culture that has...
I'm interested.
Yeah, that's a culture that has been there for many years. So I'm surprised that today, through my traveling, encountering young Africans, and I see that the perception of sex is distraught. Sex has become so cheap and dirty. People want to pretend, they want to disassociate with sex. Like, it's like, ew, we don't,
You don't
like,
do hello. You're sex.
Sex from our elders was seen on a reciprocal base. In as much as they were preparing the men, they were also preparing the women. And if you also look at one of our most popular African sex style for pleasure, it's a reciprocal pleasure. The Kachabali is not just to make the woman reach orgasm. It's also to make... So when a man performs Kachabali on a woman can also perform Kachabali on a man.
What's Kachabali in the first place?
I can't believe Africans asking me what is Kachabali. Kachabali is one of the most...
Maybe a different name for it.
It's the top, most pleasurable, arguably, but most Africans agree that it's the most popular sex style for Africans. Kachabali is a Ugandan term, but I know the Kenyans call it Kunyaza. And then Tanzania have a term for it, but they all mean the same thing. So it's a style, basically...
It's like ideal.
For women, ideally, it's to actually reach your ultimate sexual pleasure.
Okay, so describe this style for us.
For women, it's to reach orgasm.
Okay.
Because quite a lot of time, the sex in itself has a lot of supplementary things you can do to perform, but those things don't necessarily ensure orgasm.
Yes.
And when I talk about orgasm, I don't mean... There are different levels of orgasm. However, this time we're talking about the ultimate orgasm, which is when the woman when the man
Kachabali.
makes it rain.
Squirting.
The man makes it rain, so the woman gushes water.
All right, so teach us this style.
And so,
that
okay.
takes you
Nancy,
there.
relax. She will teach you.
All right, you have
can
to
still
take
use
your
it after the
time.
show.
Okay?
Just relax.
I don't want to be, you know, there are some in this tradition, there are some very sacred secrets, okay? And I want to just tell the viewers, if you're watching me, I want to believe that you are of age.
Oh, yeah, it's 18
And I
plus.
want to believe
What
that
do you mean watching you?
you are going to use
the
the
show.
information responsibly, that you're not going to go and look for someone's husband and do things to drive
Basically,
someone
I'm already
crazy
eating. What
and
is
vice versa.
Kachabali?
Please
Yeah,
use
please
this
tell us more
Okay.
about this.
responsibly. All
I
right.
can take it home.
Yes,
I can take it home.
Let's assume this is the woman's vagina. Okay,
What is?
this.
Uh-huh.
And so this
Takes a lot of
is the
imagination.
vagina.
Okay.
A lot of men usually like to debate about size and all that. It's really not that important for gushing of water. So when you talk about making it rain,
Getting
we are
explicit,
talking about this point.
How different sexes at your end.
No, but I just want to react on this and take it back to the cultural level.
Okay.
Because when we're doing this kind of show, it could become so much into cliches, you know?
Of
like
course.
about Europe, about France. We were having a laugh before about
Yeah.
romance and
Of
France
course,
and stuff.
right.
But I had no idea about such things. And you guys kind of sound like you're in advance because we do not talk about this kind of things. We do not have any word for it or any techniques or anything. When you grow up as a French person or a European, you get to know those things by yourself, or you're being taught by your peers, like your friends. This is not really a conversation that you're going to have with your family or with your generation that is above you.
Daddy and mommy don't have time.
And weirdly enough, the question of women pleasure is coming late in the topic. You know, it's not like it's not a first question.
To have sex for
So this is why,
procreation.
you know, because basically, without no offense, but we think about Africa sometimes that we have a lot to teach, but that's the other way around. Like I had no idea.
Absolutely.
I had no idea that you
Listen,
guys